All right. Welcome to the podcast, people. This is Student Counseling Podcast. Let's talk about it. Student Counseling with Friends. Today, our friend is Breanna Lee from the Rec Center. I'm Herb. I'm the host, and I'm one of the counselors in Student Counseling Services. And just a reminder, we are continuing counseling services in this time. We're doing Zoom appointments and phone appointments. This has become our home office, so my deck is what you will see if you talk to me on Zoom. But we all have figured out ways to, have our private spaces and have these conversations. So go to our website and see what we have going on, and go to our Instagram page. But enough about that. We have Breanna Lee here with us from the Rec Center. She is a fitness warrior and is putting out a lot of content with the Rec Center on Instagram and virtually. So let Breanna introduce herself and kind of talk about, what we have going on with the Rec Center. All right. So Breanna, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm Breanna. I'm the coordinator of fitness and wellness at the Rec Center. So I typically directly oversee the group fitness programs, personal training, our F45 program, and assist with other fitness related things. We obviously do a whole lot during the normal year, but since we switched to the virtual realm, we really try to do the best we can to figure out what we can offer that is convenient and beneficial to the students. So some of those things we're still growing and still learning and still promoting, but some of the things we've already offered are virtual 5K, which we will plan on doing again in May. We're going to try to do that once a month, just kind of a way to build some community, get everyone outside, enjoying that a little bit. We just started our virtual group fitness classes, so if you haven't checked those out, keep a look. They're free for anyone that can find the link and password. Currently, they're housed in our bio link on our Instagram and Facebook, and we are going to move toward putting them on the website once we have the schedule fully built. But you'll see some of our old familiar faces. For camps, or everyone that has anyone else around, or if you just want to join it, we've got a lot of virtual camps going on. So really, if you follow us on our social media, Instagram, Facebook, those types of things, that's where we're putting out a lot of our content. So that's at UABUREC. So you'll see a lot of those different things. That includes fitness challenges. We partner with a couple other universities here and there, and I think right now we're doing a plank challenge that we were brought to the attention of from CSU Ohio. We've got some friends up there that challenged us, so we're challenging all of our members and participants and students. We are moving toward some health coaching and online personal training options that will be very beneficial to students, most likely free consultations, just to kind of talk to someone one-on-one to figure out health and fitness wise, what steps you can make moving forward. We do free nutrition counseling at the moment. That's all virtual through Zoom. And so much. It's hard for me to remember everything because we do a lot of different stuff. I know Outdoors working on some fireside chats as a potential possibility. Nutrition also does presentations on different things you might need to face during this quarantine time. I think we did quarantine-proof meals earlier last week, and then let's see if there's anything else I can think of. April 29th, we're doing a national walk at lunch. So that has not been promoted yet. So FYI, April 29th, National Walk at Lunch. And then I actually personally do a weekly tips and tricks video on our Instagram. It's through our Instagram TV, just kind of pointing out different things for working out at home, how to improve that system. I know it's not the easiest or most motivating for everyone. So I think originally I talked about how to work out with needy pets. I have one that's laying right behind me.
Yeah.
And then how to use equipment around your house. This week, we'll talk a little bit about motivating, how to motivate yourself to do the movements. And then I'll probably start moving into some more informative type of things, like different types of exercises you can do with chairs, different types of exercises you can do with bands, depending on what you have, as well as possibly some intro to Olympic movements, different things that you can learn at home without having to go to the gym.
Yeah. All right. So, that's a lot of great information.
Yeah, a little much probably, but we want to make sure we're offering as much as possible to anyone, no matter what you're looking for.
Yeah. And, I think, it's so important because, with what we do in student affairs, the whole wellness approach and health and wellness. And, me as a therapist, one of the things that I know me personally that's very beneficial is the ability to exercise and what that does for me from a mental health standpoint and an emotional well-being standpoint. And so you all being able to offer these things is so vital to the students because, as you know, I mean, you had your individuals that were in the rec center every day, whether it be the class schedules, whether it be different exercises and whatnot. I was in there a lot myself on a day-to-day basis. And so having these options at home is very important. And I know you mentioned, uh, being creative when it comes to at-home workouts. Uh, tell us some things that, the average person could purchase that could just make that at-home workout experience better.
Yeah, so my personal favorite are bands. They're just very versatile and they're a good equipment to start with because you can use them no matter what other equipment you buy. And they're usually not super hard to find when everything else is being sold out right now. I think I heard Dollar General has some still. Walmart has some occasionally. My personal preference are the pull-up assistance ones. They're the ones that are like a full circle.
Yeah.
I do also have one with the handles too, but the
Yeah.
one with the full circle is a little bit more friendly as a tool, I guess. So now that I have a set of dumbbells, I can loop that one around the dumbbells, make it heavier. I was only able to find a set of 10-pound dumbbells, and I usually row maybe like 50, 55. So I loop the band around and then loop it twice around my feet, and it's super heavy that way. So it's an easy way to kind of add more to a very small arsenal. I've posted some workout things on my own page, and some people actually thought I had a home gym, and I was like, no, I've got bands and a set of dumbbells. That's it. So you can make it work. I've done cleans, like squat cleans with a bag of seed, like grass seed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it really just look around whatever you've got, but purchase wise, bands are probably the first, and then if you can find it, I would look for a moderate weight of dumbbells and or kettlebell, because those are probably the most versatile equipment. So you can use them for multiple different things, and you can usually use them in conjunction with each other also, which I'd be more than happy to be a resource for if anyone needs help on what to do with them, versus just looking at the band and being like, okay, now what?
All right. You get some weird feedback from my microphone.
A little bit, but it's not bad.
Okay. I every time I do like a yeah or no or like or really it's like some kind of like weird grunt comes out on my sound. And so I'm just making sure that wasn't getting through to you. So I think that's great. And as you know, we follow each other on IG. And so I am no stranger to the at-home workouts. Whether I'm my workout videos that I've been doing for years, and I have my resistance bands. And she's right. When it comes to just purchasing them, like the set I have right now, as far as the resistance bands with the handles, I was in Walmart one day and randomly grabbed them because I was like, I know it's a ghost town in the exercise section, but let me see what I can find. I got the set for $25 maybe, and it was 3 levels of resistance, and it had the little hook that goes into the door frame, so you close the door on them. And, you can create, pull up system or fly system or whatever, or leg stuff, and you have, like you say, with the bands, you have a lot of options when it comes to exercising, because finding a set of dumbbells can be expensive in general, even when we're not in a situation
Right.
right
Well,
now.
they're about $1 a pound.
Yeah.
And that's for a cheap one is
Yeah.
$1 a pound.
Yeah, you try to get the good hexagon with the nice, rubber caps on it. You're paying $1.50 a pound easily. But
Mhm.
even getting a good kettlebell is good, because I've seen those still in stores. Things that people typically don't buy, and you can do a lot of good work with that. And then body weight stuff. I mean, you still don't get away from, push-ups, squats, and sit-ups. I mean, those things are just
Absolutely.
legendary and always work. And so,
Yeah, I've also encouraged people to, you know, focus on some things that maybe they aren't used to focusing on if they're not able to do their typical routines. Like I do a lot of heavy lifting. Like that's my preference. That's what I like to do.
me too.
Even with what I have,
Yeah.
it's really hard to do heavy lifting. So I've spent some of this time focusing on a lot of core work and stability, mobility, flexibility, because those are all things that will transfer to my heavy lifting when we're able to come back. If I
Mhm.
have a stronger core, I'll be able to maintain a tighter brace as I'm doing a back squat. So those are things that I never really actually made the time for before, but now that I'm not able to, lift as heavy as I want to, I'm focusing on some of those things so they can transfer to later.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point, because I know for me, I heavy lift. I mean, I'm just, country strong in some ways. And so, but what I gotten away from was just like good, consistent, like cardiovascular work and hit work. And I know for me personally, I had like different injuries over the past couple of years that I'd never experienced before. And so, and then the time constraints change. Like being at UAB the rec center is amazing. But when I was at my other job, which was in the same 2-mile radius of where I lived, I could work out for a longer period of time. And then the rec center, I had my barriers as far as like how much time I had in the gym. And so if I had to choose between the stair mill or back squats, I'm choosing back squats every single time. And so this is definitely, it's forced me to work in some of my uncomfortable areas. And so getting back to doing some of these programs and these HIIT programs and whatnot. So my cardiovascular is good, uh, actually cutting some weight. And then I've also noticed that in some ways, I still feel as strong as before. Like when you strengthen your core, man, every exercise becomes better, because you're able to, do it in the way it was designed to be done, versus like if your core is weak, then you're overextending certain muscles you shouldn't overextend. And so it's been benefits to kind of being forced to do what I'm doing right now from a cardiovascular standpoint, weight loss standpoint, but also I think I'll be better at lifting when I'm able to lift heavier again. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, it takes a really, really long time to lose progress that you've made in the past. So even if you don't come back like at as strong as you were when you left, the work you're doing now will help you to progress past that point when you do get back. Um, and even from like a motivational standpoint, like I'll be honest, because I prefer heavy lifting. That's what I like to do. I like going to the gym. The first like 2 weeks of working out at home, I was miserable. I was depressed. I was like, this is awful. But I really had to take the time to be creative, figure out new things, kind of shift my goals a little bit, and understanding that this is a pandemic. So timelines are relative.
Yeah.
Um, and so with some of those shifts and then putting myself into a routine, I was working out at 5:30 in the morning during normal non-pandemic times, working out at 5:30, showering, going to work. Well, now I don't have to get up at 5:30 because I don't have to worry about the commute to work.
Hmm.
But I was rolling out of bed at like 7:40 and then sitting at my desk at 8, and I was like, oh, okay, these 9 p.m. workouts aren't working for you. So reshifted. I've been working out at 7 a.m. every morning, which is just what works for me. Obviously, 7 a.m. is not necessary for everybody. But now that I've gotten back into that routine, 2 weeks of that, and I'm feeling a lot better, a lot stronger than I was those first 2 weeks. And like you mentioned, just really starting to get in a better, good place with it. And I think that that's kind of the big thing, is just kind of finding what does work and knowing that it's going to be a little different than what you're used to. But if it works, you can kind of shift your goals and priorities to kind of focus around things that can help when you get back.
Yeah, different doesn't have to mean worse. And I
Right.
think that's an
Absolutely.
important thing. And so one thing, one of the things that I've consistently had conversations about with people, whether it be students or not, is finding that structure within where we are right now. And you touched on that, how your structure was before, and then I can connect. That first week was a disaster, like being at home, not working out, staying up late, getting out of bed in time enough for that first Zoom meeting, and like my mood was trash that first week.
Hmm.
And then instituting some structure made a huge difference. Like, so for you, like, how did, okay, 7 a.m. workouts before the first meeting, boom, boom, boom. How did that improve just your overall adjustment?
It it made a huge difference. So, little semi-known fact about me is I compete in bodybuilding competitions. So I do figure competitions. So I actually have to send weekly photos to my coach, even during this time, where my shows will probably be all canceled. But for me, like those first couple weeks, like you could tell I was still sticking to the diet, but even just changing up my routine, having a like not energized mood, sleep was all wonky, stress. You could just tell in the photos that, like, even with the same diet, there were some stress related
Yeah.
differences. And so it was kind of cool for me to be able to see it physically as well as emotionally and mentally. Because like I said, now that I have that structure and routine, which looks a little different than it did before. I even set up my calendar, my like work calendar every day. I set that up a little bit differently than I did before too, just for what helps me here. And my mood has taken a whole different level. I was uh, like craving all kinds of bad stuff. I wanted Reese's so bad, every 5 minutes, and now, yeah, and now I'm getting in that routine, and I'm just understanding kind of where I'm at, and understanding that it's okay, to feel some of those not necessarily positive feelings sometimes, and just being okay with that. But the structure has made a huge difference because now I kind of know what to expect. There's a little bit more normalcy, I guess, in this not normal time. So having a structure helps me know, okay, like I'm getting up at this time, I'm working out at this time, I'm starting work at this time, this is when I eat, this is when I stop work. And it's helping me to be able to know when my like relax time is, explore different options of other things to do, uh, which just helps me kind of breathe a little easier.
Yeah.
To kind of bring myself back to me and what's important to me, versus just the initial stress of trying to figure it all out.
Mm. That's good. That's great information. That's good for people to know, is that, like you said, it's okay to like know some of those, like those negative feelings exist. And you don't have to like pretend they don't exist, because they do. But you also don't have to sit in it for too long, and you do what you do. Even if you have a bad week or a bad few days, is like, or just haven't gotten started since this whole pandemic has begun and adjust to the home workout life, what have you, finding ways to be creative and start where you are, uh, is important. And I think that's important in all ways of life. Like, start where you are. Don't beat yourself up. Take it easy on yourself. And just like when you first got in the gym, period, you got to just start. That's the first thing. Just start. So working out at home, once you get in the groove, it can be a groove. It can be a struggle too. I know for me, like I have to clean up my kids' playroom every morning before I work out. Because I have my hashtag playroom gym, because that's exactly what I have. My kids' playroom and a storage closet in it with my gym equipment in it. And so that's that. But what are some other ways? I know like getting outside is like, really popular right now. So what are some ways that the things people can do that can be more of an outside activity while, of course, practicing social distancing?
Yeah. So obviously there's like the normal running, walking around the neighborhood. I have a dog, so I like to use her as an excuse to get me outside. Because a lot of times I don't want to do it for me, so I'm like, do it for her. So I'll plan on going on some hikes. Currently, I'm pretty sure it's still accurate that a lot of the local parks are still open. Um, so I like to go to Red Mountain and Moss Rock because they can be a little shaded, but Moss Rock has some paths where you're not like they have some really narrow paths, so I try to avoid those because of the social distancing. But they do have some more open paths, so I try to lean towards those. Red Mountain, pretty open, so you're able to kind of stay apart. I really Birmingham itself has so many outdoor scenery locations. So the biggest thing for me has just been actually trying to take this time to explore Birmingham a little bit more.
Yeah.
I get really comfortable doing what I'm used to and what I like, so I tend to go to the same path every single time. Um, but going to different places, looking at different things, seeing new things around Birmingham. Not only is it kind of exciting to see new scenery, but it's also um, a little bit more of a challenge too because you're not used to that same pattern of hiking and pathing if that's the word. But outside of that, other activities you can do outside too. This might sound a little strange, but I've actually used some of the outdoor equipment to be able to work out too. You can use like water hose as battle ropes.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of people use like truck beds to do reverse pulls and like semi pull up kind of things on. A lot of different fun type of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and then I even saw people in the neighborhood last week, I think it was, where they set up chairs on the end of their yard and people had chairs on the end of their yard across the street and they were just chit chatting across the street. They were practicing social distancing, but getting a little bit of that social interaction with their neighbors. I thought that was kind of unique.
That is pretty cool. I hadn't heard of that one. Yeah, that's cool. And so, I mean, and there's ways that goes into the ways of getting outside and getting exercise, but also getting outside in general. Um, and not to say that we're just like forcing like exercise down your throat, because just movement and getting out in the sun and you know breaking the monotony of what you're just doing on a day-to-day basis is important. Definitely.
Well, the biggest thing for me, so I actually have like really, really, really bad spring allergies. So I prefer to go outside like the day after it rains because it kind of pushes some of the pollen down. But even still, like I walk around with like a cloth mask over my face. It looks ridiculous, but with the coronavirus right now, no one even thinks twice about it. Um, but the biggest thing for me is that I have worked out, and ate all in the same place. So if I can get outside for a little bit, if I can just go somewhere else for a little bit, where I'm still practicing social distancing, just getting some fresh air, it makes a huge difference for my motivation factor when I come back to my work spot, my eating
Yeah.
spot. Because if you do the same thing in the same place, it does start to wear on you. You start to kind of lose a little bit of that motivation because you've just been there. So I've had to kind of shift and make different locations in my house be different places of work, I guess. I had to move my workout location to not be in the same place I worked. That was where it was the most convenient, but it was too much being in the same place. And then switching to some outdoor activities really helped me to kind of break that up some too. So it wasn't so monotonous.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely can impact the relationship to these, spaces in your living environment if you're doing the same thing over and over. We even talk about that in one of our presentations, like, your relationship to your bed. You can't do but so many things in your bed before you mess up your relationship with your bed. So if you're like eating, watching TV, playing games, talking on the phone, it's like then your bed becomes like an all-purpose thing, and you want to create that, and it helps like create structure because you had before in society, I hate to say that before in society, like we're in some random wasteland, but prior to the pandemic is that you had the natural boundaries in place of like, you got up, you did this here, you went to work here, you did that, like the boundaries are already in place. And so now everything's smushed together. It's like, you look at that and then how do you try and find ways to create those boundaries? Even where students have told me they have gone from, studying on the couch to studying at the dining room table to kind of like break, create some separation between the two. And
Right.
even though it's a few feet, once you get used to it, it's like a whole different, one world to the next. Like couch is for couch, table is for studying, office is for studying. And so I think that's important to point out. And one thing about what I've always liked about exercise and sports or whatever is that the principles you gain from that, you can generalize that to other areas in life. And what you've talked about definitely focuses on that, your own experience and uh, adjusting to what life is. And people will look at you and say you're a fitness competitor and say, well, this is just easy for you. And working out is already a good thing and you can do it at any point in time. But no, it's been a challenge. It's been an adjustment. It's come with its own stress. And like sending in the weekly photos, like you say, you can look at it and tell. And we have these responses, these physical responses to stress that go along with the, emotional responses to stress, and they can be very visible. And so, and none of us are free from that requirement to having to adjust and how that can impact us. So, all great information. I appreciate your transparency today, and appreciate you as a guest. I'm glad you popped on my mind because as soon as I thought about who can guest be, I was like, this is the one. Like she's putting out this content and she's already a face of the rec center. And this gives people an opportunity also just to see more of you. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I absolutely appreciate it. And with the rec center, we have a full team. Definitely couldn't do it without any of them as well. So, but we miss seeing everyone, and definitely looking forward to when we are able to get back. But like I mentioned, I'm here as a resource. My contact information is all on the recreation page too. So, definitely more than willing to help or continue conversations in any way that I can.
All right then. Well, I can't wait to get back to the rec full of hamstring trying to work out. It's going to be so intense. Cool. Well, you have a good one. And thank you for being our guest on Let's Talk About It with Student Counseling Services. And you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.